WWE tries to resurrect the Attitude Era. Ronda Rousey squares off with Eric Bischoff. And WWE Speed premieres, this time on Wrestling with the Business.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a brand new episode of Wrestling with the Business, episode 50, according to some people. Our 1 year anniversary is coming up soon. Definitely want to look out for that. Before we get started, definitely comment, like, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff. We got a lot of stuff coming up. Like I just said, we got our 1 year episode coming up in a couple of weeks. WrestleMania is about 10 days away. And new episode of Falls Count Anywhere is happening this week. What's the topic?
Falls Count Anywhere, we are looking at some, should we say, botched spots.
There we go.
So, get ready.
We know nothing here about botched spots whatsoever.
Not a darn thing.
WWE Gauntlet, that's been going good.
It's been getting hot.
It's never ending.
It's been getting hot.
Had to have a little tiebreaker this week between me and Dan after the Cruiserweight Champion episodes dropped. And
one disaster after another.
By the way, there's no belt on the line. There's no contingents. Like
there's funny you bring that up. We haven't talked about this on air, but I'm thinking maybe every quarter or so we collect all the winnings and might do a ring, might do a belt. A better belt than that one? I don't know. We'll see.
There is no better belt. Okay?
Yeah, there's a few better belts.
Whatever, hater.
And definitely want to look out this week for the returning Ring the Bell.
Yes.
It's a semi-annual show at this point.
We're back at it now.
Back at it.
Should Undertaker be recasted? That's the
go.
topic for the next episode.
Nice, healthy debate. So again, like, comment, share, subscribe.
Almost every day.
Call your friends, call your family. We're dropping stuff nearly every day of the week. So you definitely want to put those notifications on so you know when every video drops. So this week, I was putting together the outline. I'm looking through the headlines for the past week and a half, and nothing's really jumping out at me that's really that interesting. So we're changing the format a little bit this week. We're going to take 3 topics. Each of us picked one that we thought was the most interesting. We're just going to do a deep dive right here and right now on each of these topics. So, Dan, why don't you start it off? What's your topic this week?
Well, right now it's we're going to switch over to the WWE world, and a lot of action and a lot of excitement coming out of there right now. You know, you look at everything that's going on in WWE, you kind of have to go back 6 weeks, right? The return of The Rock. And I'm not just saying that because I'm biased because I like The Rock, but Rock returns, right? Comes out, announces his whole thing with Roman Reigns. We all know the road from there with the tag team now with Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. But the excitement that's come out of there, the action that we've seen, a lot of buzz now. We're heading into a new Attitude Era in WWE. We saw, first off, did you guys watch Monday Night Raw?
Most of it.
I watched like an hour of it this week, yeah.
The best Monday Night Raw
That's what I'm hearing.
I have seen across the board in years.
The internet thought it was very...
And everyone that I've seen, I've watched Eric Bischoff talk about it. Bully Ray's podcast talked about it. Everybody talking about it. It's one of the best Raws they've ever seen.
There's a lot of talking.
There's a lot of talk. And you know, and leading up to this Raw, there's been a lot of talk of, are we leaving the PG era? Rated R Rock is what everyone's been saying. You know, people, memos going out to the superstars like, hey, make sure you stay PG, but The Rock is doing this. Cody Rhodes swearing a little bit a couple weeks ago. You know, I think we're starting to see a little bit of a change. You know, obviously we have some new TV deals coming into the works.
Cody got color in this spot, right? Where he was outside.
So, a lot of talk about, are we heading into the new Attitude Era? And I think one thing you have to remember when you're talking about people like The Rock, you're talking about people like Stone Cold, Triple H, you're bringing any of them back, okay, for any type of segment, any type of story, it's hard for them to adapt to the PG. Like, The Rock is a PG character. When you saw The Rock growing up, watching him in the Attitude Era, you're ruining the character. You know, like Stone Cold, you're ruining the character. Triple H, ruining the character. They got to come back. So I'm wondering if there's a little bit of The Rock trying to test the waters with the PG versus rated R. Like, how far can we get away? Is this WWE's opportunity? You know what? Hey, we have The Rock coming in. let's test the waters a little bit and see what type of reaction we're going to get. You know, John Cena started years ago, right? We all went to the PG. And a lot of people blame John Cena for that. You know, the kids love John Cena. Those kids are now in their 20s, if not 30s. Maybe we're adapting to where, hey, we want to keep some of those guys watching and girls watching. So we're going to adapt a little bit. Because if you're 30, you're not really interested in watching PG wrestling. Who is? Are you interested in it? Are you?
No, but I don't think that's what's driving the change you're seeing. I think that WWE knows what's going on, sees what's going on. They know that their future is where?
Netflix.
Is on Netflix.
No ratings.
And Netflix doesn't care what language you use when. Netflix doesn't care about any of that. See, this whole PG era, this whole PG rock thing, you know, whatever you want to call it, whatever the last 15 years has been, this has not been driven by WWE. It's not been. The model was working brilliantly up through the early 2000s. They changed it because the money talked. NBC, you know, basically.
And they went public.
Right, correct. They went public. NBC grabbed them by the throat and said, "This is what you're going to do if you want to make money with us." And they complied like a good little corporation would comply.
And now money talks with a provider that doesn't really have a rating system.
Exactly.
You can do whatever you want.
Exactly.
And they know that.
And frankly, I think WWE has for years known that they've been operating with one arm tied behind their back because it's like, these kids know what this is. Like, we're not exposing these kids to stuff that
at some
they
point,
don't already
if you're
see.
I agree with that statement. At what point, if you're NBC and you're Fox, I mean, obviously Fox has a little bit different. Even between Fox and USA, there's a little bit of a difference because USA or Fox is basic cable and USA has a little bit less restrictions, but still kind of the same. But USA, you would think they want the people watching. That's going to draw YouTube views, I mean, have you seen the YouTube channel videos? I went and looked on USA. Because USA posts, Fox has their own, USA has their own, WWE has their own. I can't watch any WWE video, by the way, on YouTube. Ad after ad after ad after. I can't do it. So I always find a different source to watch. And Raw, they have like 3 million people watching these segments. And
there's 100
and you look at their
million
other
subscribers.
views, and you look at their other views, 300,000, 200,000. Like, they're seeing some very high performance videos being issued right now. And I gotta imagine, I didn't see all of Raw's ratings. I saw that, and this is kind of further down on my Attitude Era, but the segment with CM Punk got an extra 500,000 views, and they had like 2.5, I think, for that segment. There are people watching, and I think this is generating a lot of buzz and a lot of excitement, because I really do think there's two different things going on here. What you said, they're moving on to a different network. They're going to test the waters now. They only got a couple months left of USA Network, NBC Universal, at least on that for Raw. So they're going to play around with that a little bit. But I also feel like they're allowing people to create their own stuff. There's less handcuffed when they go out. That, I don't know if you watched the Seth Rollins, CM Punk, Drew McIntyre. That wasn't scripted.
Yep.
You can tell it wasn't scripted. You could tell by the way they're just interfering in what they're saying.
Yeah, there's a lot of eye rolling.
There was a lot of. You could tell that was not scripted. There was a few moments where I was like,
They had an outline
cringe.
to go off, and
yeah,
some
yeah,
points
exactly. They had a here's the
It's like a
basic-
match.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They had a
here are
match.
the bullet points. We want Seth beating up Drew. Seth's gonna walk out in front of everybody. But you guys can say what you want in the middle.
Punk
And
referencing McMahon was definitely not.
I
on
heard
the
that got a
outline.
couple hushes in the back, but then everyone else moved on from it after.
Well, it's Punk. You know, you got to know
But
that.
you
If anybody's going to do
The
it.
thing is, you want that from Punk. Like if you want to sell Punk, you want him saying stuff like that because that's gonna get people going.
I know. If you're Triple H, how do you have that conversation with him?
I mean,
Like, I know it's making money, but stop doing it.
but
Come on.
I think this is Triple H's way. And I think we truly are getting into the Attitude Era a little bit. You know, you saw the classic promo at the beginning of Raw, and then you saw everyone thought The Rock was done. That's what I listened to Bully Ray on his podcast today. He said everyone thought The Rock was done. He's not coming back. I didn't think, and that's in the old WWE ways. That was the case. Rock came out, did a promo, gone the rest of the night, gone. Didn't say a word. I'm like, oh, this is classic WWE. They had me fooled. I watched Raw. I was watching. I was like, oh, he didn't even say a word. He's gone. Classic WWE, right? didn't really watch the middle of it, watched the CM Punk, and at the end, The Rock comes out right at the end and beats the living shit out of Cody. I'm like, oh shit! And he was literally running a promo during the attack. And I love it too. He turned to the audience and you go, oh, Chicago! You thought The Rock, you guys were mad because The Rock left. He wasn't going to say anything. He goes, I got your attention now, you pieces of shit. It was a classic, like, the crowd booed the shit out of it. And it was a classic Rock segment. And he beat the shit out of him, got some blood, beat garbage can being thrown around, everyone attacking each other at the end of the match. Like, it was a classic Raw ending from back in the Attitude Era. And that's what people are looking for. The buzz. You know, it was a classic Shinsuke versus Uso.
Yeah, who cares?
Who cares? Like, who? And then you had Seth Rollins coming out attacking. You had Drew McIntyre coming out attacking Seth. You had Cody Rhodes coming out to help. You had Solo Sikoa. You had all of them coming out, and all of a sudden it was a classic. Everyone's interfering, and The Rock comes out at the end. It was just a classic Raw promo, and it definitely shows the Attitude Era. If that's a classic Attitude Era ending Raw, where it's just all out chaos, garbage can being thrown around. Cut up, blood.
Is there any indication that this is a pattern that's going to continue beyond WrestleMania?
That was going to be my question. Yeah.
That's
Is this just building up that one
Sounds
main
like this
event?
is all sort of precariously perched on top of The Rock's shoulders.
I
As soon as
think.
he steps away.
Here's what I think. I think they wanted to make the change, and I think The Rock is the poster boy to do it. I think there's a lot going on. I think they're like, we want to pivot slightly to. Again, we've been talking about this for weeks, months. Triple H and the way he's doing things. It's different than Vince. Vince catered to the PG. I don't think Triple H is a big PG guy. I think I remember reading that before. He's not a big. I think this is Triple H's way of saying, look, Rock, come back. We want you to be the old Rock. And I think this is also Rock selling as a villain. Rock can't be a PG villain. Can't be a PG heel. He can't. If he's gonna be a villain and he's gonna sell being the heel, he's got to sell being the heel. And this is selling it. And I think that's the only other way The Rock can do anything, is he's got to sell it hard. And I think this is an opportunity for The Rock to take it, not only to make himself as the top heel, but to also pivot WWE to allowing that now. I mean, the final boss, I hope The Rock sticks around, because this whole final boss...
I thought that was kind of corny.
At first I did, but I love it now. The whole new intro when he comes out, The Rock's the final boss. As he has John Cena and Stone Cold's picture behind him. It was classic. It was a classic, well-staged promo at the end of the show that really sets up that WWE is moving to the Attitude Era a little bit.
What do you think?
I was thinking like you, if this will go beyond WrestleMania, I'll be surprised.
Let's assume for a second that it does go beyond WrestleMania. I have a question for both you guys, especially you, Matt. You know, the Attitude Era was an extremely good time, but not really for the ladies. The ladies did not have a great time.
And when you really go back and watch the Attitude Era, most of it was not that good. It's remembered for some
Big moments.
big moments, big characters, but the everyday nitty-gritty was really bad. So hopefully it doesn't go that far over.
I don't think it's real. I don't know. I don't even know if it's fair to say it's the Attitude Era, because really the Attitude Era has its own things. I think we're just seeing
they're going to
more-
come up with another name for it.
No, I think they're adding more realness into it. You know what I mean? They're adding more like. Goddamn, go out and wrestle each other in the back. Well, if you're out fighting, if Jeremy and I are in the back hallway fighting. If I see a garbage can, I'm throwing it at his face. Why wouldn't I? Like, you're gonna use whatever you have in front of you to beat the shit out of somebody. That's what they're getting back to. This whole corny wrestling, like, I think they're starting to move on.
Maybe in 10 years this will be the TKO era or something.
Exactly.
I think the other good business move that comes from this is, one other good aspect is you end up boxing out your competition, because this was one of the things that made AEW unique. This was one of the things, they were a little bit edgier, weren't afraid to show color, weren't afraid to use cuss words, weren't afraid to do this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. This kind of boxes them out a little bit more if you're willing to show color on the screen. And
Which happened the same exact thing to WCW. They started out edgier, and then they got handcuffed by Turner. They weren't allowed to show blood. They weren't allowed to swear. So then they ended up becoming cheesier while the Attitude Era started.
ECW,
Yep.
of course. The great ECW
So
fall.
it's kind of mirroring 30
I
years
think it's
ago.
time for a change. I think there's a lot of things that I think are just all. I really think number one, it's Triple H and putting his stamp on this is my effing content now. This is my WWE, and we're going to run the ship the way I want to run it. And I think you throw in the new Netflix deal, you throw in Rock coming back, you throw in all that. Like, I love to really... I'm waiting for the first storyline that comes out about how much... I want to know how much Triple H is involved in the Rock storylines. I really do. I'm waiting for the first... I've been watching the rumor mills and there really hasn't been much on Triple H's involvement in the storylines with The Rock. I'm curious to find out how much they're working with each other. And again, you also have The Rock as a board member now. I don't know how much that goes into what... I mean, but The Rock could be saying at the board level, we need to... I mean, I don't know what real
is that
power,
a board decision?
I don't know how much real power The Rock has. But, like, is that part of it? Like, is The Rock getting on the board to really help take WWE to this new... I don't know. And again, just to end my side, rumors of, like, Stone Cold at WrestleMania. If you want these guys to come back, you want them to come back to the way they were. I mean, we don't want to watch a PG Stone Cold. We want to watch the middle finger, F-bombing, piece of shit Stone Cold. Like, that's what we want to watch.
They're also talking about bring back Hogan, too, so...
Yeah.
That goes back to
I mean, Hollywood.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like... And again, I feel like if The Rock is going to do heel... Again, if The Rock's going to be a heel, he's got to be an effing heel.
You know what, though?
He's got to sell it.
The brand split might help you. Because you got Raw and Netflix. You can be edgy over there. And now you got SmackDown. You know what I mean?
Where you can be the PG.
Which is where you can bring back, Hulk Hogan if you want to.
And the reality is, I think the question is, I don't even know if the question is, does it go after WrestleMania? Does it go after The Rock? Like, when The Rock is gone, are we going back down to this? Or is this just a Rock thing? Yeah. Like, that's really what we got. Like, if we saw Cody Rhodes swearing a little bit, are we going to see more of it after WrestleMania from other superstars? That's the question you got to ask. From what I read, The Rock is very, very happy, and he loves this whole Final Boss storyline, and he's interested in saying to do more, is what I'm kind of reading. So I'm curious to find out how they're going to sell that. I mean, I think the Final Boss thing's a great gimmick for him to use. He should be using more than just ending it at WrestleMania. It's pretty good.
I mean, I can't get over this women's question again, because
I don't think they have to adapt.
What they're doing right now with Becky Lynch is not working for me at all. Rhea Ripley is clearly running roughshod over the entire women's division. There's no way they can even hold a candle to her. They've got great, talented women in the back, like Jade Cargill, that they don't seem to be using on television for one reason or another. If they try and go the same direction with the women's division, I think it's going to drown them, and it's 50% of the roster. How do you balance that?
I don't think it's going to be. It's definitely not going to go back to the way it was in the 90s.
Well, not for the women. They can't.
Like that.
No.
They could do a heel woman come in who acts like a diva and wants to do diva stuff, and she gets booed for it. They could do something like that. At least for a short-term storyline or something. But
I think the problem they have with the women's division is Rhea Ripley is so badass in the women. You can't.
Too big,
you can't take the title off.
She's so much
She
bigger.
really. When you look at what Roman Reigns is doing, she's really the one that should have the title for 5 years. She's just like, when you see her come out, like, who's beating her? And she's such a great heel too. Like, no, I'd be shocked. And I know they're giving Becky Lynch a big push right now. They're trying to give her a big push. I don't know, like you said, it's not really working. I would hope they don't take the title off of Rhea Ripley and give it to Becky Lynch. Rhea Ripley, right now, I think is a dominant world champion on the female side. The problem is, she's so good right now. How do you put anyone over
Jade is
her?
the only woman that I can think could take...
I think they must have a good thing going for her.
They might be putting that
They're
off to
waiting for
SummerSlam
a specific time with her.
Maybe. I don't know. But it's just... Yeah, she's too much better than everybody else. She's head and shoulders above everybody else right there. And you can't go back. You can't keep doing the same thing the men are doing. And what you're trying right now isn't working. So it's like they have to move ahead, but I'm looking at every path and I'm just seeing a bunch of dead ends. I'm seeing stuff that isn't going to work.
I guess to put a final spin on this, it's working. It has the buzz going. Everyone's talking about it. Viewerships online, from what I can tell, are way up. I don't know what the ratings are on Raw. I didn't see them. But it's clearly working. Everyone's talking about it, and it goes back to it's catching edge product right now. People, I think when you got CM Punk back.
You mean
now,
cutting edge?
Cutting edge.
Okay. Yeah.
CM Punk back now. He really isn't. Are you gonna make CM Punk PG? He's not a good PG. Like, there's too many elements in right now for it. You know what? We really need to pivot a little bit to maybe, I don't even know what the mix is between PG to PG-13. It's got to change a little bit. And I think right now it's the place to be. I think you see it with the only thing that can really put a staple on all of it is MJF showing up. And I really think if you're making the decision right now, I think people see it backstage. It's working. Look at Cody Rhodes. He's in a goddamn segment right now with The Rock, the highest paid actor in television. What would he be doing at AEW right now? I mean, you when you look at what WWE putting together right now, I don't think anyone saw this coming. I didn't. For the first time in like 5 years, I'm like, probably even more than that, I'm involved in what's going on at WWE. I want to tune in to watch what's going on. Even before The Rock came back. Cody Rhodes coming back, CM Punk, it got me watching. Like, oh wow, they're making some big moves right now. And now The Rock, think about what The Rock has to do to come back. The Rock to come back and do potentially an 8-month to 10-month segment with WWE, that's got to be a lot. He's had that opportunity before.
I think he has a film he's working on after.
I think in
SummerSlam.
But I read a stat, I didn't know this. The Rock has been, out of all the other things that he's done, even more than John Cena, he's been on for 6 consecutive weeks.
Yeah,
he was on SmackDown, a Raw. Like there hasn't been 1 week that he hasn't shown up. So he's committed to this, and he's on Raw. I think next week.
I will say he's been working like a mid-carder. I
know not much wrestling involved, but he's been committed.
Yeah,
and I'm hearing a lot of things are coming down the road. So like for him to sign on for that, there's got to be a lot of buzz going on behind the scenes and changes that they're looking to adapt.
And we know he's going to be working both nights of WrestleMania.
Yeah,
I mean he's going to be there no matter what. So.
The ratings for Raw this week were 1.729 million.
Not that good, if you ask me.
I read 0.57 in the demo.
What was it?
0.57.
I read it was like,
it's about average.
Yeah, I thought I read it was like 2.5 for the CM Punk one. The CM Punk segment got a 500,000 viewer bump for the rest of the show.
He wasn't even out there for that long. I watched that segment live. I was part of that 1.7 million or whatever.
Nope, that's not it.
It didn't. Honestly, I didn't think it was.
I thought it was one of the best Raws I've seen in a while.
A lot of talking. There was a lot of talking. A lot of who gives a crap about this match? But
I watched Eric Bischoff's show this week, and he shit on the people who he goes. I can't stand people who count how much time is involved in wrestling and how much time is in talking. Because the product is product. He hates that. Apparently, he goes, it doesn't matter if they're wrestling or they're in there telling a story either way. And he's like, I guess someone had a comment about, he goes, there's a lot of talk right now about how much actual wrestling is taking place. He goes, those people need to go get a life. He hates that type of talk, I guess. And he was all about, and I'm a big Eric Bischoff fan. It wasn't back in the day, but I just like the way he explains things.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's all about balance. Wrestling works because it's a little bit of everything. So when you take something out, it's no longer a little bit of everything. Mm-hmm. So when you have 10 minutes of wrestling in a 3-hour show, is it still wrestling?
That was the complaint of AEW. They were wrestling too much and didn't have enough story.
It wasn't. You got to have a balance.
Which ironically brings us to, he's on our next topic.
Yeah, let's transition.
Eric Bischoff.
Yep.
He's in the news.
Eric Bischoff.
So Eric Bischoff this week responded to all the comments that Ronda Rousey has been making as of late. We spoke about it a few times in the past couple
let's just
weeks,
quickly review.
Yeah, quick review. So she's mentioned the WWE having a casting couch culture, meaning that there were a lot of scandals that got covered up, meaning if women wanted to get ahead, they had to provide a little quid pro quo of some sort, something along those lines. She talked about how even after the Attitude Era type went away, the bra and panties matches, that the perception for the women never really changed. It was still based on physical appearance over sportsmanship, over athletic ability. She especially ripped into Vince, Laurinaitis, Bruce Pritchard, especially when the allegations started coming out in the lawsuit.
Yeah, Pritchard she went after pretty hard.
Yep, she called Pritchard Vince's avatar.
Yeah, I read that.
And in 2022, when Vince retired, she said he wasn't there in person, but he was never actually gone because he was calling into Bruce. He was texting. He was running the shows remotely. Which
I think we all talked about.
Yeah, we talked about all that stuff.
Which I feel bad for him because if he really is trying to make his own, if Bruce is really that good, he's always going to be associated with Vince McMahon.
Of course.
You know what I mean? Like when TK goes, we're going to try to get rid of all the Vince McMahon people. I don't know how much he's involved. I'm not defending him about anything, but like it really is. It'd be a shame if he really is a good guy handling a lot of things in WWE, but he's always been associated with Vince, that he would be thrown out because of that. But again, I don't know how much he's involved, so I'm not defending him with anything.
A couple other things she mentioned, not related to that stuff, but she talked about how she received a concussion in her first match at Elimination Chamber 2018. Stephanie slapped her and gave her a concussion.
Wow.
Another time she got one while facing Nikki Bella. And then she talked about last year's WrestleMania, how Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley, their match went overtime. And that was only because Charlotte, what'd she say here? Charlotte threw her big dick on the table and said, no, we're going to do this awesome fucking match. So saying the other women didn't get the kind of show that they could
Charlotte
because
Flair has that pull, probably. I mean,
That was a good match.
That was the problem.
that was one of the best matches of the show.
That was a good
That
match.
was the best.
I think
match.
I put that as my best match when we went through the year. That was my favorite match of the year.
That was a great match.
Yep. So yeah, Bischoff got on his podcast this week and responded to it, and he mentioned how he was never really invested in Ronda from the beginning. He, gave her respect for her MMA career and whatnot, but when she went into WWE, he never really jived with her. He didn't like her coming in as a babyface, one. He felt like she was only there for a paycheck. She didn't really actually care about the wrestling or anything. And
Was Bischoff involved in WWE in 2018 when she came in?
No.
Yeah, it's been a long time since he's been.
The main thing he said, though, was that everything she's been saying about all the allegations and whatnot says it makes her come off as bitter and angry. And basically saying because her character didn't succeed in WWE, that she's just being bitter about it.
Well,
Let's say that's true, and you did work in a culture with a casting couch. Wouldn't you be bitter and angry? I mean, the problem with what he's saying is it doesn't actually contradict anything that's Ronda or Janelle Grant or any of the other women that have come forward are saying. I mean, if I was Janelle Grant, I'd be extraordinarily bitter, assuming what she says is true. So I don't know. I mean, Ronda's definitely, you never really got to guess what Ronda's thinking. She's not a great She's not a great
definitely
actor.
A polarizing person, that's for sure.
She's not a great actor, but at the same time, it's kind of like, I don't know, I kind of have a hard time believing. I mean, when you understand the process of writing and publishing a book, you realize that it's not like she started this book in January when Janelle Grant filed her. That was probably written 1-2 years ago. So that's a truth that she was probably going to share. I mean, that's the script for that book has been approved for probably 6 months, if it's just getting published now. So I have a hard time believing that she's just doing this, saying this, writing this to get attention. To me, that lends a little bit of credence to it. And whether she's saying it out of anger or spite or whatever, if what she says is true, I would think it would be a reasonable response to be spiteful. Her career worked out okay.
Even if she was just doing it for the money, her career did not really go all that well when she was in WWE. And if she made so much money, how much more money could she have made if things had been run a little differently?
Maybe.
I think her whole lifespan at WWE was botched, in my opinion. She came out the way she debuted wrong. Her music, even down to her theme song coming out, was so bad. Okay, I remember when she debuted, it was horrible. I remember that segment. That was one of the worst segments I've ever seen to someone I was very much looking forward to showing up. Like, she needed to go down the Brock Lesnar way with Paul Heyman, kicking ass, not talking, some kind of theme song that made her like a top heel. Like, she came out. What was the song?
Bad Reputation, Joan Jett.
Yeah, it was Joan Jett.
It was the same music she used in UFC.
Still, like, it's just like, make a whole different character in WWE. That's the problem. She tried to take a UFC, whole different character. So I think there's some bitterness and some I think she's bitter from just how the fact that she didn't really have an all that successful career. I wouldn't call it a success. I mean,
No, the best moment was the WrestleMania moment with The Rock.
right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Which was prior to her career.
So I think there's some anger and there's some bitterness of just how her character was handled. I think Vince probably handled most of her character, which is probably why she's saying what she's saying about Vince. That Vince has kind of ruined her WWE moment. I mean, last time I knew, she was in good terms with Triple H, so I'm kind of confused as to why she's saying it.
She said Triple H is a decent enough person and one of the only decent people that works there behind the scenes. But specifically, she said
How
about
did she come
Vince.
back from this?
What do you mean?
She's never coming back to WWE. after
No,
saying
she
all
doesn't
that.
want to.
That's why she's writing.
That's why she's writing it. She said that the company's reliance on everything just being beholden to near 80-year-old man who has 5 or 6 episodes of Behind the Bastards about him is not a very good business model. So just the fact that Vince did have his hand in everything, she was not.
Well, we all knew that. Vince had his hand in everything. I mean, who didn't think that? I mean, that's not. But I think she's just. I mean, unless there's more that's coming out, I just think she's just.
Do you agree with Bischoff then? She's just bitter?
Yes.
To me, that's just a non sequitur.
I think she's just bitter because she just didn't have a successful career. I just don't think her storyline was that.
I don't think so.
I think.
Could she just be? Could this be a work? Could she just be promoting the book and that's it?
Oh, that too. She's trying to get headlines.
Is this just in character?
She's bitter and trying to get headlines.
She had the best career that she could reasonably expect to have, given her level of experience and skill in the business. I mean, they brought her in because of her MMA prowess. She was not a wrestling person. She did not have any experience in the business. She
was popular outside.
She couldn't work the stick. I mean, it was basically like bringing a celebrity on, is essentially the equivalent. They clearly didn't train her right. Now, whether that was her saying, hey, I don't need it, or whether them not even offering it, I don't know. But it's so off topic. Like, who cares whether she's bitter or happy, sad, depressed, lonely? That has nothing to do with the actual facts of the case, which are, do we think it's actually true? What she's saying actually have merit?
I don't think what she's saying really is supposed to be anything to do with the case. I think she's just making...
It's not. It confirms what we already think.
I think she's just... I mean, I really do think she's just out there trying to make buzz. I mean, I've seen it now for like 4 weeks. Her comments just keep popping up, and it's just like, oh, this. I heard her talk about the...
Well, yeah, that's different. So the stuff that she says on the podcasts, I could say, okay, maybe should we say, enhancing it with some details or attitude or language or whatever to try to sell books. But the stuff that's actually written in the book, the stuff that she's actually talking about, that stuff was written long before the Janelle Grant, long before any of that stuff. So
she could have knew she was leaving, and
she's not really expanding at all on the stuff that's written in the book. She talks about the casting couch mentality, and then on the podcast she talks about the casting couch mentality. So to me, it's like, oh, she's just bitter and angry. Well, I don't think she's just bitter and angry.
Here's what it is. Her career's done. Done. She's not coming back to UFC. She's clearly not coming back to WWE. Maybe in AEW.
She doesn't need to. She's got gajillion dollars.
I think this is a last hoorah, grab some money. I know she may have money, but guess what? 20 years, 30 years from now, she's still going to want money. This is a sell the book. I mean, come on, guys. We all know this. When people are on the book tour, they say what they want to say. It gets the buzz going about the book. I mean, quite frankly, who's going to buy a Ronda Rousey book?
She's not going to make.
Are you going to buy one?
That's what I'm saying. She's not going to make. She knows she's
might
not
get
gonna
it on sale.
On sale. She's got to create buzz. She's got to put herself. I mean, it's all buzz. I really do, and I do think there's some bitterness to it because her career just wasn't that good. And if I had to blame anyone, I would blame Vince. The whole thing was botched from the minute she showed up. I've long said that.
Yeah, he brought her on like a celebrity.
She should have been a Paul Heyman wrestler with the same mentality as Brock Lesnar. Kick ass, don't say anything, and just beat the living shit out. And she would have had a great. She would have been but she would have been more of a multi-champion.
Her and Baszler won the championships when we went to Raw in Albany.
That's right, the tag
last
titles.
Time they won the tag titles.
And do you really think she wants to be in the tag title match?
And we were like,
I think she wanted to work with Shayna.
Maybe, but
it wasn't a good match. We're like,
Yeah.
So she could work the indie circuit, especially now that Shayna can work the indie circuit.
Well, she did show
apparently.
up to the 1 or 2 shows.
Yep.
She went to a Ring of Honor show and then our indie show.
And
a
she's
few
been
months
around.
ago.
But, I mean, again, she's building buzz for the book, but
I don't think it ended on good terms with WWE, and that's why she's just running her mouth.
I don't think it ended, like, it wasn't like she was fired or anything. She wanted to leave.
But again, that's
And she
something-
stepped away after
Right.
that first year to have a kid and everything. She had planned that all along.
It didn't see, yeah, and she lost a lot of time because of that finger injury she had, and I don't think they made her.
They didn't extend her contract.
Yeah, they didn't extend her contract for that, so it seemed like it was pretty mutual. She wasn't making a lot of money for them, and she wasn't getting a lot of value add, out of them. So, all right.
All right, last topic.
Last topic. So, we have had some exciting updates this week in regards to WWE Speed. So, right around, I want to say November, December of last year, it was right around Survivor Series, we reported on this show that WWE had filed a trademark for something called WWE Speed. We had speculated what the heck was this going to be. Not a lot of details. Well, it's coming out now. So initially, this was maybe a month ago, February or so, they came out and they said, oh, it's going to be exclusively on X. They're going to be 5-minute matches.
Up to 5 minutes, yep.
Up to 5 minutes. It's going to be razzle-dazzle, fast-paced, hang on to your pants. All that stuff was pitching. Well, now a promo is hit that we're totally going to show here with Corey Graves. They made a modification. It's now 3-minute matches. It's going to air exclusively on X starting April 3rd. Looks like it's going to be... There's no real cadence, but obviously I would expect it's going to kind of fill in the blanks. I would expect it on a Wednesday or a Thursday, probably not on a Friday, maybe on a Saturday, but not on a Monday, that kind of a thing, to kind of fill the gaps. They are going to be using a point system. So basically you're going to keep score. Every time you win a match, it's +1. Every time you lose a match, it's -1. They have announced that there is going to be a WWE Speed Championship. I'm guessing that championship, this is pure speculation on my part, but if I had to do it this way, this is how I do it. I'd say whoever has the most points holds the belt. So if someone wins 5 matches in a row, even though you've never
That makes
competed
sense.
against them, the belt is going to pass to you. That's
That was-
just the way that I would do it.
Yeah.
So, a couple of questions here. 3-minute matches. This is going to be basically all high spots. This is going to be high spot to high spot to high spot
Yeah, it's
to high
basically
spot.
just going to be the finish of the match.
This is what WWE's, one of the WWE fandom's biggest criticisms of AEW is. That you're just jumping from one high spot to another high spot. Is this another example of them trying to box AEW out? I mean, this represents, I think, a brilliant business decision. I think this is wonderful, especially having it exclusively on X. What a brilliant idea. The biggest problem WWE is going to be breaking into new markets, not globally, but domestically, finding people that think that wrestling is totally fake, think that it's totally lame, are remembering the days of botched spots with Macho Man Randy Savage. This is going to help them get out to X, and by linking themselves directly with X, you're guaranteed to get a massive push. I mean, everybody that sees your product is going to know your product exists, but they're not. This is going to be the first time that they've seen it in a long time for a lot of them, and it's going to attract them because it's only the interesting stuff. I mean, this is like watching a movie on fast forward. You're skipping all the boring promos and all the story buildups and all the stuff. Just let me watch the guy, jump off the top ropes and ninja kick him halfway across the ring. I mean, it's essentially all action. So I think it's a brilliant idea from that standpoint, but I am wondering if this is a way for them to kind of nudge or box out the competition, because this was, again, one of the things that makes AEW unique. I don't know, what do you think? Is it a good idea or a bad idea?
No, I think it's a great idea. I think it's more... Is their contract with X an exclusive contract?
Yes. For Speed is exclusive on X for 2 years. It's 2 years.
Not
So-
for wrestling in general. Though?
Not wrestling in general?
Well, I mean, they're going to still post highlights and clips and stuff
So
like
what
they
I'm asking,
always
could
do.
AEW do the same thing?
I don't see why not. I mean, they wouldn't. Without a deal with X, you're not going to get the same push. I mean, you're essentially going to the top of the algorithm pile with them.
I think right now it's all money. I don't think it has anything to do with shutting AEW out or TNA or.
It's a way to capture the TikTok crowd.
It's a way to sign an exclusive deal with another platform. They essentially have 5 TV deals. They got Netflix, they got NBC, they got CW, they got X. I mean, it's all. They tried doing this on Facebook a couple years ago.
Yeah.
They tried doing Facebook.
The Mixed Match Challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah, that didn't work for them.
It's nothing more than. But I think this will work. I think they're instituting a whole. They're almost essentially creating a whole new show / league of wrestlers, if you want to call it, with a whole new championship on the line, with a whole new idea, and it's exclusively on X. They're making money.
This
it's going to
solves
help
your
audience-wise too.
This solves your problem in regards to what do you do with all the people on the roster that you can't work. I mean, especially with all the talking that everybody's doing now to build up all these stories. You got a lot of guys on the stick, not a lot of guys wrestling. This gives you a chance to really showcase your wrestlers to a crowd that's going to be way bigger than anything.
And there'll be integration into the main shows, I'm sure. There'll be a little bit of integration.
That was going to be my question. Who's going to be on this show? Is it going to be people that are known? Is it going to be
I think
next in line?
You're going to see everybody. I think the idea is people come in and you Shinsuke Nakamura is going to have a WWE speed score. It might be -10, but he's going to have a score all the time. So you can shift him in and out and around if you're like, oh, you're not going, so we're going to move you back here. We're going to let you pile up some wins, and now all of a sudden you're going to be in contention.
And then that's my next question is, if it does integrate into the main shows, then is Rhea Ripley going to be on speed? And if she is, will she lose a match at some point, but she'll still have the women's title?
Well, yeah, because it wouldn't be unless you make it some kind of like actual title match.
Because you think the big names, the main roster, if they have a 3-minute match, the other person shouldn't be getting any offense whatsoever. So that's not all that exciting.
I don't think it'd be that much. I think there'd be some storylines, some microphone talk that happens on the main show, but the match is on the speed show. I don't think you're going to see too much.
Yeah, I mean, if I was writing, I would say we need to reference the speed or maybe show a quick clip or something like that.
I kind of foresee this being more like, these are going to be 24/7 title matches or hardcore championship title matches. Nothing that's really all that important.
But entertaining to watch.
It'll be fast. It'll be high pace.
This is foot in the door.
Right.
So this is get your foot in the door. That actually, it's interesting that you brought that up because I'm wondering if it's not going to get old kind of quick because you don't really have any time to do any fun stipulations. There's no fun.
Right, it's all gonna.
It's a ladder match. It's a whatever. You know what I mean? Like I wonder if it's just gonna. How many times can you watch a guy do a moonsault or?
I mean, the matches they've already recorded, they've done with like the lesser named luchadors that are in WWE now, right?
So there've been 2 matches that they tried on
Gravity
SmackDown
from NXT.
Gravity was on one. Big Bronson Reed was on the first. I believe it was the first match ever. Who were the other 2 people that they were wrestling? Those were 2 different matches. Gravity didn't wrestle Bronson Reed.
Right.
And those were 5-minute matches. They were recorded, I think, before SmackDown went live. So I guess that kind of leads to my other question, which is, where are these going to film? Are these going to film live in conjunction in front of a live crowd? Are these going to film inside a studio somewhere? Because you're not relying on crowd response or anything like that to play off of. Are these going to be totally off-site? Or is it going to be like 24/7 where you're at the concession stand and all of a sudden someone comes up behind you and hits you? What kind of a circumstance are we going to find ourselves in?
I think they're going to announce that with all new rules. I think it's going to be you can go anywhere you want.
But you're right. You need to find justification for why you're in speed. But if you're using a point system, you can be like, well, I thought I'd jack up some points. I mean, you're not going to see a title holder on there because they're busy defending their title. They don't care about speed. But if you're trying to bring somebody back from injury, they're trying to work their way up, I think WWE Speed could end up being a decent mid-card. I don't think it needs to be a joke like the Hardcore Championship or the 24/7 Championship is.
Or Raw Underground.
I think it doesn't need to be a joke or a punchline.
They can do their own ratings. They can do it.
It's kept on X, so it's kind of off to the side. You can reference it when you want if there's a really good spot or if you're trying to advertise for it on the television. But yeah, it's not the kind of thing that you have to marry yourself to. You can step in and step out of it as you want to or as it makes sense with the story. I don't know about the belt. I
like the idea so far. It'll be interesting to see what more information comes out.
I don't think they need another championship.
I don't know about the belt. I think you'd probably be a lot better off if you...
Top of the ranking should get a title shot somewhere else.
Exactly.
Not have their own championship.
Yeah, treat it more like a Money in the Bank type situation. Yeah. Then you can bring it to the main show, and that's how you get people from X that are scrolling through their phone and happen to see it. Say, hey, listen, this guy's going to get a title shot on Monday night on Netflix. Check it out. That's how you pull.
Or any wrestler who hits a certain amount of points gets a title shot.
Right.
Or you pull them onto WrestleMania. The top 5 scorers in the WWE Speed Rankings are going to have a 15-minute match, or do it gauntlet style, where everybody has 3 minutes and, whoever is still standing at the end of 15 minutes or whatever it is. That's how you pull them into the premium live event. You pull them into the weekly shows. So I think it's marketing brilliance. I think everybody should be doing something like this if they want to be successful.
We'll have to see how it goes. I'll have to wait and see until I get my hopes up on it.
You're excited. I can smell it.
I'm interested to see how it is. Yeah, for sure.
I can smell some excitement. You're trying to protect yourself.
I'm just picturing Raw Underground, Mix Match Challenge, put them together.
Listen, you've been hurt before. I hear you, but you need to have some trust. Don't ruin this relationship because you had a bad ex. That's all I want to say. Okay.
On that note, that is our show for this week. Not too bad. Different format. See how it goes going forward. But we got our 1-year anniversary coming up, so be sure to look out for that. New episode of Falls Count Anywhere dropping on Monday. Ring the bell on Tuesday. And the gauntlet all this week. We got some tiebreakers to do. We got a new what's the word?
Champion?
No.
Topic.
Thank you. Topic. Wow. Time to go home. On that note,
and make sure you watch the blooper at the end of the episode.
We'll keep wrestling with business. See ya. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a brand new episode of Wrestling with the Business, episode 51. Just 2 weeks away from our 1-year anniversary.
Episode 50.
51.
50.
51.
Oh, okay, fine.
So I did miss 50.
No, you didn't.
You didn't miss anything at all.
Hang on, let me double check the...
Okay, pause.
Yes, this is number 50.
This is 51.
There's a show-off going on right now that I'm not quite sure if this is going to turn into like a wrestling match.
He's
saying
looking
50.
at the list.
He's dead on as saying this 51 with a very, very serious mad look on his face. So I'm really kind of confused with what number it is right now.
We've been wrong for several weeks because I always write it at the top of my outlines.
We fixed it.
I thought we backtracked. I thought we did 2 episodes.
2 weeks ago.
Oh, the episode I wasn't here for?
What?
This is number 49.
So now it's
He's
49?
showing some proof over there,
No, he's
Matt.
saying 49 is up.
He's saying there's 49 episodes. 50 would be marked in there as number 50.
Okay. This has been wrong for months then. All right.
We've had a 50th one recorded.
Oh! Huh! So this would be 51.
Wait, what one got lost? Was it the one that they did?
No. Was it? I had a lot of issues. That's all I remember.
Oh, all the sound cut out and everything.
Yeah.
So it is 51.
It is 51.
So that would have been episode 50.
This
What?
is the 50th.
Right, it didn't come out though. We recorded it, but it didn't post.
Oh, no,
okay,
that-
now we're back over to Steve. Okay, we're ping
All
ponging
right.
back
So
and forth.
we're both right then.
Oh, okay, all right.
So what happened is Matt and Steve run a match. Jeremy and I came down, interfered, beat both of them up, and ended in the draw.
This is a dusty finish if I've
That's how
ever
it
seen.
ended there.
This is the dustiest finish in WWE history.
By the way, this whole exchange has to go at the end of the video now.
That was painful.
50, 51,
Should we
51.
Should we try again?
Yeah, I'm going to start over.